Hey everybody, Shoebox Legends here. Thanks for joining me for another episode today. This is going to be the latest Inspired by YouTube installment, which is exactly what the title sounds like. So often when I'm watching many of your great channels, I am inspired to go pick up a card or a set or a particular player, just because I've seen it featured on a channel that I enjoy, and they've really done a good job kind of motivating or inspiring me to go pick up the card. And that is certainly what happened today with a really nice vintage card that we're going to get to in a moment. It is not the Cal Ripken Jr. rookie that you see in front of you there. We'll talk about that in a second. But before we get to any of that, I just want to touch briefly on the channel that inspired today's purchase, and that is Card Wolf. So if you're not familiar with CW over at Card Wolf, he has been putting out content for a few months now. He does a lot of really interesting things. He breaks packs, and blasters and boxes, both modern and vintage. He'll buy up collections, small collections on like Facebook Marketplace or eBay, break them down and go through them and then kind of let you know what he paid so you can determine whether or not you think he got a good deal. He shows off, mail days and vintage singles, just a lot of variety over there. What I love about Card Wolf is his kind of soothing, easygoing personality and delivery. And his dry wit. He's got a really good sense of humor, clearly a very intelligent guy and very knowledgeable collector. I jokingly, but I really meant this as a compliment, let him know in the comments at one point that I kind of feel like he's like the Bob Ross of the YouTube card community, just because of his kind of soft-spoken, soothing delivery. But I really enjoy his channel. So much so that I've actually been going through his backlog of all his videos. I found him a couple months after he started up, and so I've kind of gone back to the beginning and have slowly been making my way through each and every one of his videos, which is definitely probably the biggest compliment that I could pay, and just proves that it's a channel that I enjoy immensely. So great work, Card Wolf. Keep it up. I'm so excited to see your channel grow, and it really seems like you're taking off, and rightfully so. So before we get to the card that I was inspired to buy by Card Wolf, just wanted to touch quickly on this Cal Ripken Jr. And the reason I put this one up in the background is that CW is a Baltimore fan. So he loves the Orioles, Ravens, and figured it would be appropriate to put out a nice Ripken rookie card, just to kind of have up in the background here, since this episode is in a way dedicated to him. So that is the 82 Fleer Ripken rookie. He was a favorite player of mine growing up, one of my kind of big three favorites as a kid, and so I've kind of gravitated towards some of his cards now as an adult, and have that copy of his Fleer rookie that I thought would be appropriate. So I hope you enjoy that in the background, Card Wolf. And now to get to the card that he inspired me to purchase. So in a recent episode, might be a few weeks old now, he was looking at some vintage pickups that he had made, and he made a very compelling case, I thought, for the card that I ended up going out and grabbing. And it is this beauty right here. Card number 1 from the 1973 Topps Baseball set, featuring, at the time, the all-time home run leaders, as they stood in 1973 or heading into the 1973 season. You still had Babe Ruth in the number 1 spot with 714 home runs. Hank Aaron was trailing behind him, but not for long, at 673. And of course, Willie Mays was sort of at the very end of his career at 654, and wouldn't get there in the end as far as chasing the Babe. I just think this is a fantastic card. Obvious reasons aside, this features, 3 of the best sluggers in the history of the game, and 3 of the top home run hitters who weren't kind of tainted by accusations of PEDs, which doesn't really bother me as much as it did when I was a kid growing up. I've really softened my stance on, Bonds and Clemens and some of those guys. But nonetheless, I still kind of view Hank Aaron as the true home run king. Barry only hit 7 home runs more than Hank. And I think when you take all factors into consideration, in my mind, just my own personal opinion, don't want to start a big debate, but I kind of view Hank Aaron as the true home run king to this day. And so I was immediately attracted to this card. And I have runs of top sets from 1974 forward, Topps Baseball, and so was a little bit less familiar with the cards from 73 and older. I do have a lot of vintage, but I certainly don't have them all and never will. And while I had seen this card in the past, I think I sort of glossed over it, or maybe didn't really appreciate how cool it was until Card Wolf kind of talked through it. But it's the first card in the set, which makes it very condition sensitive. It's just neat to have this point in time kind of picture of the home run race. This might be like one of my older Babe Ruth cards as well. I know it's not like a playing era card, but there's something pretty cool about having Babe Ruth on a card that's, you know, coming up on 60 or 50 years old now, this year actually. And I thought it was kind of fitting to pick this one up as well, given that this is the year for 1973 Topps for Topps Heritage. So kind of cool. I like trying to grab a couple singles from whatever set Heritage is paying homage to in that particular year. And CW also kind of pointed out, it's a tough card to get in a good grade or in good condition. The ones that he showed off were raw copies that he picked up, but they looked every bit as nice as this one, if not nicer. Notoriously tough. And what I didn't realize about this until it was pointed out to me, the back of this card is almost always off center. And mine is as well. And it's almost always left to right. And what I learned in the video on Card Wolf is that because this was in the upper, you know, left corner of the uncut sheet, you know, 90+% of these things are going to be off center on the back. That doesn't really bother me. I don't care as much about centering on the back of my cards as I do on the front. And I felt very lucky to find this copy when Card Wolf posted his video or shortly thereafter, because, you know, he mentioned, and I tend to agree, that this is the kind of card that has a lot of potential to sort of take off as vintage continues to grow here. And I've certainly kind of seen that already. I mean, I scooped this up, and I'm going to kind of pull a Card Wolf here and just take a page out of his book and let you know what I paid. So right after watching his video, I sold a tobacco card that wasn't really a strict fit for my collection anymore. And so I had a little bit of PayPal funds to play with, and I got on the hunt for this particular card. And when I found this one, I wanted to get it slabbed. I like having my vintage cards slabbed if possible. I don't know why, it's just personal preference. I thought this one had amazing centering on the front, which is what I cared about, and looked very, very strong for the grade. This one got a PSA 4, and I think the reasons why: the lower right corner, if you can make it out, has a little bit of a ding in it. It's very faint, but right on the corner there, you can see just a touch of brown. And then I don't think this will come across on camera. Maybe it will. Right here in the sort of white space behind the Babe, there's this little indentation in the card just above my finger. And if I get the light right, you can probably see it here. It really doesn't affect the overall beauty of the card. You really don't even notice it's there unless you tilt it just right in the light. But those two kind of flaws combined is why this got a PSA 4. But I think this is a very strong looking 4. And because of that, I was able to scoop this up for under $70. And I just used PayPal funds from a sale, so it really didn't cost me anything out of pocket. But in the time since, I've kind of been keeping an eye on these, and there are no graded copies of this card from PSA that are anywhere close to this shape that are, you know, less than $100, and really significantly more than $100 at that. So I kind of feel like I got a little bit of a steal here. Maybe it's just coincidence, what happens to be on the market at this point in time, but kind of feel like at this point anyway, like I owe you a thank you, CW, because you made me aware of this card at a time when I had some funds and there was a beautiful copy out there that fits my kind of preferences when it comes to vintage on centering and overall visual appeal. So that is my newest vintage, you know, 70s baseball card and the backstory behind it. So huge thanks again to Card Wolf for inspiring me on this purchase. And again, if by chance you're not familiar with his channel, it would really be a huge favor if you would give him a visit. The link is in the description below. Tell him Shoebox sent you. You certainly won't regret it. He is one of the friendliest guys in the cardboard community here. He's sending out cards to tons of different channels in response to a giveaway that he did. So I think you'll be hearing and seeing his name a lot in the near future here. And he's a channel that I am a big believer in going forward. So really looking forward to watching you continue to grow and enjoying all of your videos, CW. And in the meantime, everybody else, please do yourself a favor and give him a visit. And that's going to be a wrap for today. So that's the latest installment of Inspired by YouTube. I appreciate you stopping by, and I'll certainly be back in the very near future with some more sports card content. Until then, take care, everybody.